Well, Patrick, it's lovely to have you. You've been joining us on Facebook Live for plenty of Sundays since we've been broadcasting since January. And it's lovely to see you in person and to welcome you to our church service today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be able to actually talk to you. With a last name like OLeary, obviously I have very deep Irish heritage, deep roots, and programs like yours are like windows into Ireland for me.
I guess most people, when they think of Kentucky, will think of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Absolutely. We're world famous for our chicken, and I've actually been to the very first Kentucky Fried Chicken. And Colonel Sanders, the famous, the guy that, he was like 65 years old when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Wow.
But every parade, he would always be the Grand Marshal. He is actually buried here in a cemetery here in Louisville where I live, and it is a tourist attraction.
And to think that you have Irish roots, it goes right back to your great-great-grandparents who were married in Kilgariff Church, you tell me, in 1863. And what were their names? Do you remember?
Yes, my great-grandfather, John Patrick O'Leary, was born in Mill Street, which is probably about an hour drive from Clontakilty. But my research has shown that my great-great-grandparents, James Carnes and Anna Jones Hughes, it was their last name, were married there in Clontakilty. And then they came to the United States in 1865. And my great grandmother was actually born about 2 months after they arrived in the United States. So she was obviously pregnant when she left. She was conceived in Ireland, yes, but delivered in America. So I don't know what that kind of makes her, but
you probably know what Graw means. You have a particular love for Ireland with the OLeary clan that's been gathering in Inchigeelagh for many years, and you've been a big part of that. Do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about that?
Well, the OLeary clan gathering has been held in Inchigeelagh for about 25 years, and I've been to 5. I found out about it in 2014, and my first gathering was in 2015. And actually, I've been on the planning committee for 3 years. It's a well-attended event, great time. All of us O'Learys gather there at Creed's Hotel in Inchigeelagh. Of course, last year we couldn't gather because of the COVID-19, so we had to go virtual.
And going virtual, well, did you lose lots of people? Did people kind of fall out, or how did that go?
No, the exact reverse happened. When we as a committee said, let's try to do something virtual. And I'll admit, the other 2 folks on the committee, I spent 40 years in corporate America and retired a couple of years ago, but using Zoom and video technology, I have been doing it for years. I encouraged the committee, let's do this virtually. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, we thought we'd maybe have 25, 30 people. We figured it would last an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops. Well, as we started to post on social media and send out emails, by the time it was all done and said, we had over 70 people that signed up.
Wow.
The Zoom session lasted over 3.5 hours. And it was an absolute, to use a good American expression, home run. Wow. Absolute success. I remember I was the host in Louisville, Kentucky. So I was hosting the Zoom call 3,000 miles away. And I'll admit, it was exhausting. But I remember when we shut the call off finally, that it was such a great, almost rewarding feeling to be able to pull that many people together. We had 7 countries, 10 time zones. It was phenomenal. And it went so well that we actually had a second Zoom call about a month ago that we had over 100 people sign up.
Wow.
So Zoom has not only kept the clan connected, it's also helped keep us informed. And to be quite honest with you, we feel very strongly that it has helped increase the size of our group because now people can participate. Where before, if you lived in Australia or even in America for that matter, it's not cheap to travel to Ireland from the United States. But people have really grasped the technology and jumped in there and become connected because of it.
Isn't that just wonderful? And the fact that you and I can communicate here today across so many miles as well, it is just absolutely amazing. And, if you had some advice for the churches at this time, wonder what that would be.
Well, I think the use of the technology needs to continue. Uh, I think I heard a song recently in Ireland that had a great line in it that I even wrote it down. The world's on fire, but there's beauty in the flame. And I take that as, this has been a horrible year with COVID, but some good has become of it. We have learned to get along with each other a little better. I think in some cases to be a little kinder to one another and look out for each other. And this technology is, I think a lot of people have discovered it to say, we can use this for other applications. For instance, I belong to a historical group up in Ohio, which is about 150 miles from my house. I attend maybe one when they were doing only the meetings only physically. I attend maybe one, maybe two meetings a year. Now I can attend a meeting every month.
Wow.
So, think about from a church perspective, funerals, weddings, it all can be, used, this technology be used to include people in it.
Yes.
But I will say this, my experience with the clan, the OLeary clan, there are some people out there that are very reluctant for technology. I mean, change is tough, to transition people from, have never, when I was coordinating the call, I offered to do practice sessions with people because literally there were people that weren't sure they had a camera on their computer. And I'll admit, it was very frustrating with some of the folks.
Yes.
I mean, what's the expression? I needed the patience God gave Job,
Yes, patience
because
of Job.
Obviously my skill level for Zoom is fairly high. I mean, I use it all the time. And to deal with somebody who had never used it, it took some patience. But the reward to that was when I would see them on the call and I would see them participating and I'd see how excited they were. It was a very satisfying that I was able to help them with that. It is tough for some people to move from sitting in a pew listening at church to sitting at their home watching it on their computer. But what we determined from the gathering experience that we had with our first call is we would much rather be sitting in the pub in Inchigila enjoying each other's company. But the Zoom call was a decent substitute. At least we got to see each other. At least we got an opportunity to socialize. So I would encourage people, some of the nonprofit groups that I deal with in America here have discovered Zoom. And they're like, you know what, we need to keep this going because it will help not only grow the membership, but help with the mission. Obviously you have a mission there at your church.
Yeah.
And I think Zoom and utilizing the technology, while frustrating sometimes, I think will help. The last point I would make too, that the thing I have learned about Zoom is you have to use it to get better at it. And again, to use another analogy, I saw once that I compare it to golf. You can read 50 books on golf, but until you go out and swing a club, you're never going to get better at it.
You're right.
So that's the same thing with Zoom. You can watch 20 videos, read 10 books, but until you get on a Zoom call and learn it, that's the only way you're going to get good at it.
Yeah, well, look, Patrick, that's really helpful because our gospel reading today is about the vine and the branches and how that Jesus is in the branches, not just the vine as such, the whole thing Jesus is in. And to think we as churches can reach out right across the world through various time zones even is absolutely brilliant. And thank you for that practical advice as well, and just sticking with it and hopefully being able to use it for good and for God. But look, Patrick, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us your thoughts on the use of the internet and how it can really help us even as churches going forward from here. And we wish you a very good morning.
Thank you so much for having me. It really is very satisfying to participate in something in Ireland like this.